There's been a tremendous amount of research done lately on mindfulness-based stress reduction techniques and its effectiveness in relapse prevention, treating severity of depression, treating obsessive thoughts, dealing with even self-defeating, self-mutilating behavior in borderline personality disorder clients, etc. And we can see where many of these issues are also concomitant problems that we see in our clients with post-traumatic stress disorder. And mindfulness-based stress reduction techniques, or mindfulness-based cognitive therapy, can be particularly useful skills to teach an individual who's experiencing the symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder. Again, I'm only going to give you a couple of brief techniques here. The idea behind we do offer, by the way, at my other website, subliminalscience.com, a number of different courses on mindfulness and awareness training exercises that are real important and that are real useful. But one of the basic ideas with mindfulness-based stress reduction is that by bringing a client into the present, we can keep the ruminations from the past. And the easiest way to bring a person into the present is to train them to be aware of the present through the use of the five senses. And one of the basic mindfulness techniques that's used is a very simple process of simply helping a person be aware of their breathing. So as you watch this video, pay attention now to the way you breathe in and out. Go ahead, breathe in. And as you do, be aware of the sensation of the feeling of the air through the left nostril and through the right nostril. And as you exhale, be aware of the warm breath and the feeling that it produces as the breath travels through the throat and out the mouth. And breathe in again. Not in any specific way, but just being aware of it. In fact, you can listen to my voice, and as you listen to my voice, you can actually become even more aware of your breath. Breathing in, and the sensations, and out. Now this is an awareness exercise, a very basic form of meditation. Taking it out of its religious context, though, it's particularly valuable in therapy. How is this valuable in therapy? It's valuable in therapy because to be aware of that breath brings me into the present. It dissociates me from the trauma of the past. And so the exercise here is for the person who ruminates, who has obsessive thoughts, who has difficulty to just become aware of, in this case, the sensory experiences of a normal breath. And if a person begins to think while they're experiencing that breath, they can in fact simply see that thought as a thought, non-judgmentally, as it simply exists, focusing in the present on that breath, the way it feels, the way it tastes, the way it sounds, the way they see it, the way it's interpreted through the olfactory system, the smell. Each breath in and out, perhaps slowly or even quickly. But as a technique of awareness, it brings our attention into the present. This is almost the photographic negative of hypnosis, where we try to access the subconscious, and instead we're trying to become highly aware of consciousness at a specific moment. Now, I had an incident the other day that was kind of interesting. And again, as I said at the beginning of this video, I want you to think of these concepts in terms of your own experiences. I was actually sailing off an island, Boracay Island in the South Pacific, and I was sailing on a boat that was on really rough seas, and a storm was coming in. There was a typhoon, not where I was, but nearby, at the time moving towards me, and unexpectedly, to the captain of this little tiny sailing boat out in the big sea, he was unable to control the boat. He couldn't get back, he couldn't turn around, and of course, knowing nothing about sailing, my fear was we were going to, end up drifting off to Australia or Antarctica. And so as he was trying to pull the ropes, as he was paralyzed in the water by the high wind, the rain started coming, and as the raindrops came beating on me and the captain of the boat and the two guys that were sailing the boat, I guess it was a big sailboat. I could see actually fear in them, and because I could see the fear in them, they were unable to control this boat, and there was no way we were close enough to any land to swim, especially with the rough seas. I began to wonder what my little life vest could possibly do for me out here in the middle of nowhere, and I began to ruminate about fears and thoughts and catastrophizations, and I thought to myself, as Richard the therapist, wow, there's only one thing I can do, and that is to become aware of the present, rather than my fears of the future or dwelling on the past. And so I practiced those techniques of mindfulness meditation while the captain of the boat tried his hardest to regain control of the boat. And of course, as you can tell by the fact that I'm recording this video, eventually he was able to drift behind a small island that broke the wind, where he was able to turn around. And although we didn't land where we started or where we intended, he was able to land across shore, and I was of course able to find transportation back to where I belonged from there. But it was really quite an interesting situation, sailing in the rain. And using the techniques that we teach to clients in our own lives can be of tremendous value to us in being able to effectively implement and pass these things along to the folks on our caseload. And believe it or not, despite the fear that was present in that situation of rain sailing, I was at complete and total peace in that experience that in my normal everyday life should have produced a catastrophic response to fight or flight, the jumping overboard, those sorts of ruminations, thoughts, and ideas that a person has. And so mindfulness-based stress reduction, even in its simplest form, focusing on a breath, the interpretation of our sensory awareness in the present to those things, recognizing that the thoughts that accompany them are just thoughts, and that thoughts are just thoughts, can go a long way at helping those with post-traumatic stress disorder to find relief. My assignment to you, I suppose, is to find out more about mindfulness-based stress reduction, and to simply spend the rest of the day after you watch this video being aware of the present, taking in a breath, being aware of your exhale, and focusing on this moment, not the past, not the fear of the future, but your safety, your security, and your presence at this moment. Mindfulness-based stress reduction techniques, very useful in helping the person with post-traumatic stress disorder.